Here's another one of my videos. This first weekend of April, several weeks now into the coronavirus emergency. And today I'm talking to Matt Hewison from CyberWhite Security. Now, CyberWhite is quite specialist. It looks at some of the scams. It advises your IT company, tries to help them to filter out some of the worst elements of things that are going on online. And believe it or not, you and I we're working from home and we're victims. I've nearly been a victim. Matt, welcome to the video. Have you been caught out? Have you been snagged by some of these nasty people who are trying to entice us into giving them our wares free?
Not yet. But what I will say is that I have been close, shall we say. These guys are extremely intelligent people and don't make it easy for us to bypass with what they're trying to achieve. So yeah, even though with my background, I have come close on a number of occasions. Fortunately, not fallen foul, but that will give you an indication of how complex and how sophisticated these attacks currently are.
Well, you don't have to be that sophisticated to catch me out, but the two things I nearly got caught out were, I'm busy. I'm really busy. I'm trying to run a business from a remote location, and I'm looking at phone emails. I'm looking at emails on my desktop and my laptop and things. And I get an email from Microsoft Office. You have unsent email. Oh, one of my emails didn't get through. Check here. And I'm starting to fill it in, put my password in. I think, oh, is that Microsoft Office? I check who did it come from, and it's some crazy email that's clearly not Microsoft Office. And a similar thing about a BT bill. I know that BT bills are sent to a certain address, and I don't necessarily expect that kind of email from BT, but nevertheless I'm still looking, I've got to do my cash flow, and I'm starting to fill in the passwords. I didn't go all the way on both of them. I stopped myself, but I'm just so busy. Is that what they're preying on?
Absolutely, and you know, these guys are people at the end of machines, so and that's a very important point. They're tuned in emotionally. The difference is they've got an agenda from a criminal perspective, so they're able to resonate with you and get that message across from a technical perspective. And what you're describing there is effectively a phishing attack, and that is something that we over the pandemic have seen an increase of. There's various articles out there which will back that up, but it's quite interesting because actually I think a very, very important point is that what we're seeing at this moment in time is an extension of something which is effectively, which has effectively existed for a long, long time. So the cyber threat at this moment in time is something which is strong and something that we should be aware of. But the only difference is that actually these guys are changing the landscape slightly. So it's quite interesting. In that I was reading an article yesterday, and I've got it here actually, Graham, and it's some stats that have been issued by the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport. So it's the official stats for cybersecurity breaches, and it's the survey for 2020. It was released on the 26th of March, and it's easily found on gov.uk. But effectively what it's saying is, the extent of cybersecurity threats have not diminished. In fact, the survey, this survey, which is the fifth in the series, shows that the cyber attacks have evolved and become more frequent. So what that essentially is telling me is that these attacks are getting more frequent, they're becoming more sophisticated, and at the moment, because of the times that we find ourselves in, the cyber criminals are using the whole COVID-19 piece to their advantage, and we're seeing a number of cases of this.
Now, obviously, remedial action. Quick headlines. What are the remedials that a small firm particularly could take? But if they're linked into their server by VPN or something like that, what remedials?
Yeah, so you know what? Yeah, good question. So we're probably in a bit of probably in phase 2 at the moment for most of my companies, small, medium or large. Those that are allowed to work from home have probably already provisioned their staff. They've got stuff in place. They've got the whole VPN stuff. The infrastructure's sitting there and it's in place, and they're settling into life as we know it now for the short term. What we are seeing is an increase in scams. So organisations have been targeted with things such like or going on the back end of the business loan schemes, the grants. So organisations are getting either emails or texts asking them to review the fact that they've got money that's waiting for them via a scam, and they're asking them to click a link and doing all sorts of stuff.
It is an interesting thing. One of my contacts in business runs a hospitality business in County Durham, and this shows the efficiency of Durham County Council. They sent them an email saying, we're going to give you £10,000 rate rebate as part of the government's coronavirus scheme. Please provide your bank details. And the first thing they did was, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving someone the bank details, because it fits, doesn't it? It fits absolutely. Yeah. Now, all be credit to Durham County Council. It was the real deal. And the person got their £10,000. But so base to check it both ways.
Well,
don't be under cautious, but don't be over cautious. Check.
Well done to that organisation and that individual. Absolutely. I find myself doing that regularly because, the game I'm in, it would be highly embarrassing if I fell foul of a cyber attack. And sometimes I'm a little bit paranoid. So I can resonate with that example, that's for sure.
All right, Matt, one last question, because people at the weekend watching this video don't want to be completely blown away with nightmares on security. But there is a more serious question about working from home, particularly with the kids. I'm not working at home with my grandkids, but my daughter tells me, I've got a preschool girl as a grandkid, and she watches things on YouTube. And quite often the advertisements on YouTube are a bit more aggressive than the ones you might get on Nickelodeon and so on. You might get advertisements for video games and machine guns and things. And I know you've got kids as well, so you'll be looking at the kids that are working on their schoolwork from home. I know we give our kids, iPads and laptops to help through this period. Tell me what your thoughts are on children and cyber security.
Yeah, good question, Graham. You're right. Scaremongering is not a tactic that I usually deploy, and I like to look at the benefits around being able to get the best out of adopting and practicing good cybersecurity diligence, and the kids are a really important point to that. So I don't think we've ever been in a place I certainly haven't been in a better place to spend time with the family indoors. As you mentioned, I've got two children. My eldest is in secondary school, and he's busy at the moment beavering away on Google Schools, getting through a mountain of work. Now, I've been on a journey with my son over recent months with regards to his social media activity, as I'm sure many people have. And it's really, really important. So my son found it difficult to begin with, because obviously I'm in this space. He struggled to understand why I felt that some of the stuff that he was posting was maybe low level but inappropriate, and why he felt that it was a challenge for him to make comments in groups. And I tried to explain that, there's an audit trail here, and actually you've got to be responsible with what you're doing around social media, etc. And we've got to a really good point. But what I find more interesting than anything else is that we have got a generation of people who are absolutely superb as far as technology is concerned. They are really, really astute. And we've got to nurture these guys, because there's going to be a lot of benefits that will come out of this pandemic, I'm sure. Might be difficult to see at this moment in time, but one of them is ensuring that we work closely with our children, and to make sure that whatever they're doing at this moment in time, because they've got a lot of free time on their hands, is, shall we say, the right side of the Computer Misuse Act. So what we don't want is, if we've got children who are maybe looking at coding, maybe tinkering technically with bits and pieces, speak to them, talk to them about what they're doing, maybe highlight the Computer Misuse Act, get them to Google it, let them have a look, let them have a read. What we don't want is, we don't want them to be socially engineered or drawn in by the bad side of the cyber security